Hi, Bill. Hey, Bill, you there? There. Save the video here. Hey, Bill. You hear me okay?
Yes.
Yay. All right. Sorry about that. Okay.
All
So
right.
about what you were talking about some of the things you were doing at Reuters. Then how'd you cross over into PR? Like I know you went to graduate school, which I recommend anybody because that's the way things are nowadays. Um, you know.
Yeah, I went to night school at Montclair State and picked up an MBA going to night classes 2 days a week. And some of those days were kind of rough because I would be up at 5:30 in the morning at my desk by 7 a.m., work from 7 to 3, then get in my car, go to Montclair State, do my homework, and then I go to class till about 9:30 and then get home by 10:15 or so, and then I wouldn't be able to go to sleep till about midnight. And so then you get up at 5:30 and start it all over again. There were a lot of times where you find yourself working on projects after your class, and you might be going to work on 3 hours of sleep. Not something I recommend, but that's just sometimes what the circumstances dictate. So I but yeah, I studied finance. So I do have some quantitative skills beyond the reporting skills that I uh, gathered. And with the finance, it's funny, with the graduate degree, I did take some business classes as an undergraduate. So I took financial accounting, managerial accounting, macro and microeconomics, marketing. So I did have a couple baseline courses in business before I went to get my master's, but I found that with the master's level courses, we covered what I learned in the undergraduate class for a full semester in 3 weeks. And then they would just, it was like next level kind of work. You basically, that whole adage about you do 1 hour of classwork, you put in 3 hours of classwork on top of that was typically the norm. Um, and with final cut projects, you might find yourself doing even more than that. So uh, I graduated that with an MBA in 2002. Uh, about 3 years later, I mean, wire service reporting is a bit of a treadmill. I mean, you can make a great living doing it. It's I was looking for new challenges, so I went into public relations. Worked at a PR agency called Coin PR from 2005 until 2012. It was a fast-growing agency. We had some top-flight clients there. I worked mostly on their healthcare and higher education accounts. What you'll find is, you basically learn a bit about business strategy and where PR, public relations and communications fits into a marketing plan. There's the adage that uh, advertising's paid for and publicity's prayed for. Um, so you'll see huge marketing budgets spent on trying to get the word out about particular brands, but sometimes you need the PR element to help either amplify that marketing spend, or in some circumstances the you can, if it's done well, the PR program can actually help build the brand more effectively than the advertising element, because one of the things about PR is you need to be truthful, and you need to be true to whatever brand that you're trying to position when you're talking to reporters, or and I think with social media, you're seeing new refinements to how brands position themselves and how they build themselves. I think just about every brand today has a social media element to it, because, this little handy dandy gadget, the phone, is uh, as part, it's part of everybody's lives nowadays. So you do have opportunities for engagement there. So, and I think that's one of the things that you want to do when you're doing any sort of public relations work, is engage your audience. Um,
Just like,
any
just like you would,
questions from you folks right now?
just like you would in a mainstream news organization, right? You want
Yeah, oh yeah, you want to position yourself with reaching top flight media outlets. I mean, that's really what your clients are paying you for. So, I did work at Coin for 8 years, and then I moved up. Well, what happened was a client took some work in-house, and this is a thing that happens with PR agencies. Clients will take work in-house because they're spending lots of money, and sometimes when they make a budget cut, that basically leaves the agency in the lurch. And the agency, I was uh, let go because there was, just a tight situation budget wise. Client takes work in house. There's $1 million hole that sometimes needs to be filled, and that's $1 million hole. Uh, yeah, basically $1 million hole in that circumstance.
because of your brevity and your charm and your geniusness, you landed with your 2 feet flat on the floor at the world's greatest verbalizing. You, what should I say? Insurance
Well,
radio.
no, I worked at a few smaller agencies, and freelanced a bit. Then it turns out that one of my colleagues from Coin PR had found a position at KPMG, and I worked there for another 8 years, essentially. The
It's really wow. I didn't know it was that long.
Yeah, yeah, and uh, it's that's one of those things that you really need to keep in mind, that it's important to build up that portfolio of good work over your career, and have good working relationships with people over the years, because that's going to help you for your next position, no matter where you go. I mean, you know, you, if you act like an idiot or a jerk in the workplace, people remember that, and they will hold that against you. So, try and stay humble no matter where you go, uh, or just at least be nice to people. I mean,
So I
you
got,
know,
so I got a story, Bill. I don't mean to cut into your time, but I'll try to keep it short. Bill's heard this one before. I well, this is the extreme example, but I knew a guy my freshman year at Rutgers. I won't say his name, Rob Schumann, but anyway, he uh, he was a little weird, but he was okay. It seemed right, and he was a big Mets fan. And then I didn't really see him for a couple of years, and then my senior year, he's walking around, just like kind of walk around aimlessly, and he starts eating lunch with me and stuff, and my friend Al Lubeck, and the next day, this is back when broadsheet papers were a big deal, the paper edition, across the front page, man arrested or indicted on 33 counts of sexual molestation or something. It was terrible. It was him. So,
Jesus.
yeah. So, and I remember like some of the comments were like, I never knew people were saying that stuff. 20 years later, I used to tell the story up to that point. 20 years later, I'm sitting in my newspaper office at the Bergen Record. It's around 2006, I think. And I see his familiar gait, his walk going across the floor. I'm like, oh my God, that's Rob Schumann. I kind of just said it like that. And then like person sitting next to me, I mean, there was no time for me to think. I mean, I absolutely had to report this, obviously, but I did have a moment there. I was like, what do I do? And then like I actually said, oh my God, it's Rob Schumann. And then a woman next to me was next to me. Her name was Ruthie. She goes, what? And I told her a little bit. She goes, I'm calling a lawyer. And turned out that they had to hide me in Trenton for a week. How do you get
Oh,
hi-
wow.
how do you get hidden in Trenton, right? And so then because they would probably figure out that it was me, and he'd probably figure out it was me. They found out that actually they were really glad. I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but they were really glad that I discovered that because it was 2006 and we were still up to date on like the digital stuff. Up, kept keeping all this stuff, even though he had written about this like 20 years before. This same newspaper because he was from that area, and he apparently they found out that we found out that he actually left other positions before the same reason. So yeah, it's and I actually had to go to the New Brunswick Library to find the article that showed like what his adjudication was, and I had to go to micro. It's 2006. I had to go to microfiche. I doubt that'll be the issue now. Anyway, the point is that of course that's the extreme example, but the point is that you really like need to um, be clear about who you are, what you do, that sort of thing. And get those, get on LinkedIn, get recommendations, that sort of thing, no matter what position you go into. Um, that sort of thing,
Yeah,
right?
don't be afraid to use LinkedIn to show your work as well. I mean,
Yeah,
that's basically what it's there for, and and also to build connections with people that you work with or have projects with. I have over 1,300 connections on LinkedIn. I mean, that's really you know a great network to have for your career. And I see what's going. Oh, there we go.
I'm trying to actually open up the screen setting here. Sorry, Bill.
Oh, it's all right.
Maybe I could share the screen and it's being all weird. Oh, give me okay. Well, I guess I can't share the screen. Anyway, all right. So anyway, Bill's going to be like a big help to us, and I really appreciate it, Bill. So, mind if Bill, if I show you this, show the assignment?
Sure,
I thought
absolutely.
I could easily share the screen, but it's not letting me do that. Just see if I can try again.
So
Uh,
I'll kind of give an overview of the assignment. It's basically a fictional media company, Megalomania Media. Um, so if you do any sort of Googling of the people that are referenced in it, you're basically you will see old Mets players' names rather than people that are, you know,
yeah,
actually true business executives.
this is gonna be a game of pretend, and this is what I
Yeah,
posted this morning. So unfortunately, Bill, I can't do the split screen, so you can't see it. But since we're
but
now moving into the reporting phase of the course, this time will require you to do more than just repeat what's told to you. This will look to get people to think on their feet and outside the box. Do in 2 weeks, so we have plenty of time. Okay. Basic
yeah.
about the assignment, we're playing a game of pretend, as I just said, and you really have to act quickly. Okay. I know. Look, I was a student too. Bill was a student too. You know about the whole thing about like waiting till the last minute. I get it. To do stuff. That's I understand. But this one really, you know, any kind of journalism, any kind of work really, but especially in journalism, I think. Um, it's really like situational in terms of like what you got to do, what you got to in order to get information. You got to like take into consideration the calendar, like when people are available and that sort of thing. Okay. Um, course, this was a bigger issue before we had the internet, but when you had to rely on people on phones and stuff like that, you couldn't call people at night. But now you can like just email people, whatever, or whatever, and then they'll answer you anytime. But the point is that it's really like a good to get a jump on things ahead of time, even just like sending out an email saying, what is this? Okay. What is this story about? Okay. So what you're going to get essentially is this. You have to act quickly, and what you're going to get essentially is this press release that's actually embedded into this story assignment. Okay. Now, here's where I talk about like why we're shifting more into reporting mode. So what we've been doing so far is pretty much just standard straight reporting. You interview somebody, you're told what to do, you're told what they're about, you're told what's unique. Now you're going to be presented with something that's actually kind of what they call in baseball, essentially a screwball or a knuckleball, where it's unpredictable, okay? And where you have to actually essentially craft something on your own and use your own news judgment. And it's not so easy. It's not like right there in your face necessarily. The reporter radar, as I've described before, isn't going to necessarily go off right away. What happens is, and Bill will tell you this, is that there's a lot of companies, especially like companies that are going through some sort of a bad time. And I'm not saying this is a scandal or anything wrong or anything like that. And Bill will tell you, public relations, this is what public relations is all about, is that your audience is not the direct public typically, it's the media, okay? So you want to like present to the media if there's something that's going wrong with the company or something, you want to present it in a good light. It's called spinning, right, Bill?
Well, yeah, and really one of the things that you want to do if you're in public relations is if you have a story that is significant, you want to get ahead of it. If you're on the PR side of the fence and you want to turn what could be like a multi-day bad story into cut that timeline into fewer and fewer days. You don't want things dragging on and on. So you want some degree of damage control where you take your hit just one day. Sometimes you can't do that if there's ongoing issues, especially if your company is in court on a particular matter.
Right.
That's something where you have less control, but that's one of those things where when you're in the field of PR, you want to have a plan of action. Like, okay, how do you manage a communications plan when you have people saying bad things about your company in a court of law?
What
So
I can
you
tell you, what I can tell you, and I say this in the assignment, is that like, so you have that kind of situation like as Bill was describing, where like you may end up in court, you may end up in jail, you may end up at, you may, maybe business executives led away in handcuffs. This isn't really the case with this particular
yeah,
incident
no,
in this press release, but
no. In fact, what happens with a lot of executive, you see, when your company is publicly traded, you announcing the executive change because that's something that could move the stock one way or another. The idea is that when you have outside investors, that's when you have have some degree of transparency about who's in charge, how much money are you making, is this, give your investors a sense of the direction of the business. So those are important elements in any sort of announcement that you might be making as a business.
so I can tell you, when you look at this press release and you call it up, okay, and it's actually right here. I'm sorry, Bill, you can't see, but it's right here. See, specifically, this is how this assignment works. It's right there if you click on it, okay? And this is what comes up. It's dated October 22nd because that's the day it's due. So you're gonna pretend it's like a breaking news assignment, okay? And I made it that, 2 Tuesdays from now. So you can say basically, this happened on Tuesday. Okay, so you just pretend that it's like the breaking news on the day it's due, okay? That makes sense? What I can tell you is that basically this lead of this press release right here is not going to be the lead of your story. I can tell you that much, okay? It says Megalomania Media Company, it's a made-up company, like Bill said. The world's leading provider of entertainment. How do we know that? I mean, we got Disney in the world. Here's what This is what public relations does, is it basically wants to present everything in its best light. Nothing, doesn't say anything wrong with that. It's just part of business. Announced that it was forming an office of the chief executive in a broad restructuring of management roles. Okay, so you have to ask yourself is, like, let's say like let's say I'm trying to shop for something, I don't know, at a mall or something like that. I want entertainment or something like that. And I go to the Megalomania store and I want to shop there. And I think to myself, well, I don't know if I want to shop there because they're going through a broad restructuring of management role. You think that would really happen? Nobody really care, right? Isn't that kind of boring? You know, what you want to do is you want to humanize this. You want to TMZ this. You know what's TMZ? Anybody know? I mean, that's hyperbole, TMZ. But what's TMZ? Anybody know? TMZ, by the way, is they're not entirely responsible. In fact, they pay people for money and that sort of thing for information and stuff like that. I don't recommend them as a journalism thing, but one thing, they are probably one of the most popular news media sites because they report on the scandals, you know? And oftentimes they're the first, I hate to say this, but this is not a good thing, but when Kobe Bryant unfortunately passed away, they were the ones that broke the story. So it's like they are actually kind of out in front of these things. So anyway, what you want to do is you want to find whatever essentially scandal is it within here, okay? And what you have to do is, we'll go over this more over the next 2 weeks, but what you have to do is there's a paragraph in here, okay? That really kind of should call out to you what this story is about. And what I'd like you to do, if everybody's paying attention and listening to me right now, okay, is to find that paragraph. And this is not required, but I really strongly recommend that you reach out to me. We can do this in class too, okay? You reach out to me and you say what you think this story should be focused on. Which paragraph? There's actually two paragraphs, really, but
Yeah, there's a couple things that should be what's what are red flags that basically should set off like your news nose, or your meter for whenever you're in journalism, you have to think about the primary question is who cares, like, and you have to like look at all news from that standpoint, and why would my audience care about this?
right. And so like when you're actually like shopping or something like that, now you might actually find something within this press release that may lead to information that make me think like, ew, megalomania, ew, that sort of thing. So, but this is all part of
Or a bigger question is why are they reshuffling the management?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
They're reshuffling the management. They're making everything look good. Look, we're improving everything. We're making everything look good. The company's great, in great shape, but they're only doing that because something bad happened. So now here's the thing, though. Okay, what you need to do is now Bill's going to play an acting role. Okay, he's going to play essentially the spokesman. Bill, you don't mind being quoted directly as with your name? That's okay.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I figure, and yeah, please send me an email if you have questions tied to this press release.
This is just so you know, in real life, this is Bill's not actual job. So if you do any kind of like Google search, this is not going to come up. I've had people like say like, it's funny, like, oh yeah, this is past years. Okay. I've had a couple of people come up to me and say like, I Googled this to see what was there. I was like, why are you Googling this? Are you trying to find the story?
Yeah,
We can't be
we're
AI.
saying this. Yeah, this company is completely fictional. It's something that I cooked up in my imagination, but believe it or not, it's based on real events.
It's actually based on a real thing that actually happened. Yes, I've actually had a couple of people have discovered that. So, but anyway, what you need to do is you need to find that what would be essentially the lead or the focus of the story within this press release, and then you need to go to Bill and email him here. Okay, if that's okay, Bill.
Yep.
And then
It's my Yahoo email address. Yeah.
and Yahoo, right? And basically say to him, what really happened here? Okay. Like I said, I'll go into more detail next week, next class, but what really happened here. Bill's going to supply you some pieces of information that will have it. And actually, it's not going to necessarily, he's going to play a little bit of like, I guess you could say, um, fake out or whatever, where you're not necessarily going to get, it's not going to be like so readily apparent what the information you need is. Okay. He's going to give you one of them is, I won't tell you too much, but one of them is going to be a voucher on an Excel spreadsheet. And that's going to contain some very important information that actually makes this story more of a scandalous story, okay? And basically one that will make this much more interesting than just some restructuring of a company, okay?
It's called color.
Yeah, right. So
Yeah.
basically that'll have information. That stuff, first of all, you need to find like what's the big thing that happened that caused them to restructure their roles. And then you got to find out what led, find out more information about that one happening. And he's got that information. You need to email him. And I would do that ASAP, just without even thinking. You don't even have to
Yeah, just read the press release, come up with two or three good questions, and I should be able to help you out.
right. And then, yeah, exactly. Okay. Has everybody got that? Okay. I mean, I would email them today. Just email them to say, hello, hi, what's going on here? Or just,
Yeah,
actually, I would suggest that if you want to be really careful, maybe just try to find out what you think maybe the focus of the story should be. One that would appeal not just to the media, not just to business executives, but like I said, that whole TMZ world, or even not just TMZ world. This is something that would be in the New York Times. I mean, this is something that basically could really shake the reputation of a company as much as
yeah.
else.
And what happened here is something that is did happen in an executive suite 20 some odd years ago, and
Yeah.
it's and it had far and it was at a very large company and had far-reaching consequences about companies being examined about how they're run and what's called corporate governance, where you see one of the things that when you have a large company, you have a chief executive, but you have a board of directors that's responsible of with hiring the chief executive and setting broad policy for the company. And then that chief executive is meant to execute that policy. So, so even if you're the top dog in any publicly traded business, you do answer to a board. And, there have been multiple times where I've had discussions with chief executives and they would be like, well, I got to sell this into my board. And, they're, or, it's kind of one of those facts of life that they have to deal with when you know they are held extremely accountable, believe it or not. If they don't perform up to par, they could easily be replaced. But that's at a company with good governance. Where there's companies with lackadaisical governance, it's kind of like the CEO might pack the board with his or her friends, and that's where you have shoddy, like um, that's where businesses tend to get into trouble, where you start to see, oh, the board was asleep at the wheel, and they didn't really rein the CEO in.
You can write a 500, 800-word story on this, just like we've been doing, okay? It's due October 22nd. Like I said, I did some of the stuff I described here. I said in class, he'll send you a document that provides some of the depth you need. When he sends you that document, will provide crucial and vital information for this assignment. But again, you have to figure out the focus first, okay? And then quoting documents is something that reporters do. I mean, you just basically say according to the document. Okay, that's how you attribute
Yeah,
it.
and just mention what kind of document you're citing. That's also very important too.
And then, I'm available for any kind of help too. So, but anyway, Bill, we have a layout meeting to go to. So I wanted to thank you again very much, Bill.
Yep. Yeah, and just as a favor, try and get your questions into me by noon on Friday, because I do have a life on weekends, and And I quite frankly, I'm not as responsive during the weekends when it comes to emails. So yeah, if you could get to me before noon on Friday, that would be great. After that, you might be waiting several days, before I respond to you. So yeah, and please read the press release before you reach out to me.
Okay. Thank you very much, Bill. I'll be talking to you soon.
All right, thanks everybody.